Inside the Middle East Institute. Thank you very much, Mr. Melamed, for joining us this afternoon. We were just talking about the symbolism of the area of Khan Yunis, and I want to ask you, Mr. Melamed, the scope and scale of the damage in Gaza. Does Sinwar care? Does Hania care? Or in other words, is there a scenario in which the toll is so high, so grave, that Sinwar waves a white flag?
Hi, Ali. Thank you for having me. The answer is no. Look, Hamas leaders are saying openly they don't care about the people of Gaza. Not only that they don't care, they have an interest that is more people in Gaza will suffer, because they know that they could play this card in the context of the international public opinion. And their answer is very clear. They will not care about the people of Gaza. As far as they are concerned, Gaza can go to hell.
Simply put, so on the flip side of it, if the scope of the damage is irrelevant, are gestures, quote unquote, of any leverage here that can soften this vicious mastermind Sinwar fuel, for example? Anything other than that?
Look, we see, for example, the whole issue of the hostages. Sinwar, Hamas is playing a very vicious, sinister game in the whole issue of the hostages. Definitely, this is something they are trying to monetize as much as possible, not for the rescuing of Gaza, but for the rescuing of themselves. And this is the difference. And as I said before, they don't care about the people of Gaza, and they're openly saying so.
Yeah, no surprises there. Now, before we continue, I do want us to take a quick listen to what the Jordanian Foreign Minister had to say today at the Manama Dialogue Conference. Let's take a quick listen.
This is not a time for mincing of words. This is a time to state facts as they are. This is not self-defense. This is a blatant aggression, the victims of which are innocent Palestinians. Over 11,000 Palestinians have been killed thus far, the majority of whom are children. Almost 67% of them are children. The humanitarian catastrophe resulting from this is beyond words.
Perhaps the no surprises part of his speech, but the Jordanian Foreign Minister went on to say what perhaps we all knew, yet chose to put aside, at least for the time being, that Hamas, not just a terror group, not just a ruling entity, it's an idea that cannot be dismantled. And it's particularly interesting when it's coming from the Jordanian Foreign Minister, as we know that the Palestinian community in Jordan is of much present, let's put it that way, Mr. Melamed.
Well, Eli, two things in that context. One thing is something that we talked about in the past. Hamas as an idea is not going to disappear, nor as a political movement. The issue is not the idea. In the end of the day, as I said, Nazism still exists.
Right.
But Nazi Germany does not exist anymore. So this is one thing. And here is another thing that I want to say to the Jordanian foreign minister. He probably may be very much interested to know that Hamas Mothers Movement, the Muslim Brotherhood, all of its major leaders basically published the other day a statement where they basically hint that Jordan, among other Arab states, is nothing less than a traitor.
Right.
The reason for that statement and for that allegation is because they expect Jordan to open its borders with Israel and enables, and I'm quoting, jihadist militants from all around the world to come and to eliminate Israel. I'm sure that the Jordanian foreign minister, maybe he doesn't know, but maybe now he knows, and I wonder what he has to say about it. I know what he has to say about it. The Jordanians have hermetically closed their borders with arms and weapons and army forces, and rightly so, because they want to make sure that nothing is coming from Jordan to Israel.
So lip service on the podium, but on the border, an army, a Jordanian army, protecting the situation from getting even worse. Now, Mr. Melamed, as we speak, the leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards is speaking in one of many demonstrations today for Hamas across Iran. This demonstration in Tehran, and he's saying very clearly, again, they're saying it all. We're just not really listening. listening. This operation of Hamas on October 7th is the answer to the grievances of Britain, France, the US, and the Zionist regime. Only fourth in this list that he's naming. Meanwhile, Erdogan, just back from Berlin, saying Germany is promoting the same policy that it did in Ukraine, accepting Israel's and Ukraine's actions as self-defense, but not those of the Palestinian resistance and or the Russians. So the axes here could not be any clearer, and yet it feels often as if only Israel and Washington are listening to what is being said.
Well, look, Iran has been butchering Arabs and particularly Palestinians all across the Middle East. Turkey, one day is hugging and kissing Hamas, and the next day Erdogan is just kicking them out of Turkey. This is all very cynical game. We are all familiar with this game. The issue here is that the interesting thing is that they are actually dialoguing here with the Western circles who basically support Hamas when they are time and again echoing the whole story of imperialism and the United Kingdom and the United States and all those things that we are very much familiar with. But in the end of the day, as you accurately said before, this is about lip service, and more than that, this is a very cynical approach. By the way, in the Arab world, they say in the Arab world to both the Iranian regime and Erdogan, they say, no, we know your tricky game. You at the same time you are butchering Palestinians and kicking them out, you are at the same time are making your lip service, so no surprises there as well.
Well, perhaps the final non-surprise that we're going to discuss in this conversation, Mr. Avi Melamed, the mini war in the north. Hezbollah seems to be trying to, push Israel to make the first step, so to speak. Two options here: militarily, diplomatically. But given the fact that Lebanon as a state exists only on paper to an extent, and there's already a UN resolution on exactly that, to keep them far away, Hezbollah forces, that is, not not receiving any reassurances on the ground, of course. It brings us to the former military action.
Well, look, I mean, as we said, and I've been talking about it, in Lebanon, we're conflicting the whole story of the Northern Front. We are in this interesting zone in between what I call the orange line and the red line. And there is all the time this back and forth. And one of the questions is whether there is going to be some sort of like crossing the red line. Up until now, that's not the case. Let's hope that will be the same. But in the context of the Northern Command, there are two major players involved, the United States and Iran. They are, in the end of the day, dictating the whole trajectory of that front. Both, for the time being, do not have an interest in further escalation.
Well, let's hope no surprises on that either, that no one will be interested in further escalation for the time being. Avi Melamed, founder of Inside the Middle East Institute, thank you very much for helping us get a better understanding of what is happening, as per always, sir.